Hey guys, in this video we will see how to uh, create dynamic buttons on runtime, and then we can further delete them. So basically we'll be using these for time tracking. So suppose we have few employees in our company, and here we allocate some tasks to them, and we also allocate some time to complete that task, and we want to track for how much time they have worked on a particular project using these buttons. So the functionality will work like this. If we click on add buttons, it will be adding start and stop timer buttons here, and when we click on start, the timer for that particular project, you can say, will start, and when you click on stop, it will give you the time it has recorded so far. So for example, for this task, the person has spent around 8 seconds. If we keep it on for a couple of hours, it will be showing that in hour, minute and second format. We can stop at any time. We can also start multiple tasks at a time, and the task which is not yet started, if we try to stop it, it will say that it is not yet started. So those which are already started, you can stop them, and that all the data you can also see here in the form of graphs as well. Currently it is showing that in seconds, and then when you keep on increasing the data, these axes can will also be managed accordingly. But if you want to fix to those axes in terms of hours and minutes, you have liberty to play with the graph axis. You can go to format axis and change the adjust the lower and upper limits of these. So let's see how to create them. And one another feature here we have is we can always delete these at any point of time. So let's start this. Let's create it from scratch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create the same thing. I'm going to replicate in sheet 2. So for this I'll be requiring some data. I'm copying it directly from here. Just to make it look better, I'm hiding the grid lines, and I'm changing the font size to 10. Here I'll be expecting these buttons, so that's it. Here you will see that a timer in form of hour, minute and seconds. You can simply go to format cell, and in the time section you can choose that format, so it will display that in this format only. Now it comes about the VBA part of it, how we first of all create those start buttons. So we'll be moving step by step. First of all, we'll be creating start button, and then we'll be creating stop buttons, right? So in the module, I'm creating a new module here, sub, let's say create start buttons. This is my module name. Now I need to create start button here in this cell, F column, and cells 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And if I have multiple more such records, it should add that on the basis of the number of records. So for that I need to make it dynamic. So first of all I'll be what I can do is I can first of all calculate the last row which is having data. So last record is sheet 2 dot cells, total number of rows, first column, and search upwards and give me the last row which is having data. So if now I try to print the value of this last row, I can say, let's change this variable name to last row. So it displays 8. Now if tomorrow if I have more IDs, it should display that value accordingly. So far we have only calculated the last row. So after that we need a loop so that we iterate it for all the number of rows and add button for each row. So for I equals, because we are starting from fourth row, so fourth up to last row, and inside this for loop, first of all, identify the cell where you want to create that button. So I am setting a range. Let's say range name is, let's say, t something, any variable name you can take here, something logical. I'm just calling it as t equals cell, and the row index and column number. The row index is I, column number, if you want that button, in column number 6. Now set that button. For setting that button, or to create that button, you need to first declare the data type. So dim btn as button. Here you can say that set btn equals active sheet dot buttons dot add, and then the coordinates of that cell. So t dot. Now the syntax for this is, first of all you need to give the left coordinate, then the top coordinate, then width of it, and then height of it. So it will be exactly the button that will be created here will be of exactly same dimensions as that of this cell. We can also set some properties of this button using this. So let's say we want to set a caption start on each button, and we want to give a unique name to each button. So I'm appending a row number in front of it. So now when I run it, it will be creating a separate button for all. Just for sake of my simplicity, I'm writing a remove button module sub procedure, so that once when I try it, I also have something to delete them. So sub delete buttons. Here we just need to write one command, which is active sheet dot buttons dot delete. Right. So let's see what happens now. When I run this, I get all the start buttons, right? And when I run this, it deletes all the buttons. So far we have created start buttons, and we have also put a logic to delete those buttons. Now we also need to add stop buttons as well. So we just need to copy this thing here. We need to iterate it one more time, or we can keep it in the same loop inside this. Once it is creating that start button, just after that we create another button which will be on, let's say, the very next reference. We call it as W, which is 7th column, and just make all these as W. And here in the caption we will say stop, and we also give a unique name to that button, those buttons. Now when we run it, it adds start and stop buttons, and when I go to delete buttons, it will clear them off. So far we have created those buttons. We have not yet put a logic to start and stop the timers, because right now it is doing nothing. These are simple buttons. Okay, so we need to add one more column here, time taken, and this should also show me timer in this format only. So I've copied the format. Now I need to draw those buttons here in G and H columns. So I'll be updating my code. Instead of column number 6 and 7, draw these buttons in 7 and 8. Right now, if I click on add, it will add and delete buttons in column number 7 and 8. Now the thing is, we need to write the functionality for start and stop. So for start, let's add another function, start timer function. So first of all, let's understand that when we click on this add buttons, and then we need a functionality where we can click on start button and it should show us the timer starts for this particular task only. So it should uniquely identify all these start and stop buttons. So for that, let's see the functionality of application.caller. I am simply using a message box to display the content. Caller will give you the name of the button which is actually called this module. That means this action is associated with all these start buttons. So for that we need to add it here on action. We need to call this particular function. It won't be working right now because we have not yet assigned those actions here. So we need to delete them and add them again. Now you see that hand sign is there and there is an action associated with all these start buttons, but there is no action on the stop button. We'll be adding it later. So on the click of start button, it will be calling that function which we have just written and give us the application.caller name. So caller for this is start4, which is actually the name of this button. Start5, start6, and similarly start8. This is why we have given a unique name to every button, start buttons as well as stop buttons. So we have the caller name. Now we can do one more thing, active sheet dot buttons. Now out of these buttons, we know the name of that button. Select that particular button and give us top left cell where this button actually exists. Now what we are doing is, let's say set R, this is a range, and let's declare R as range. Now R will be holding that particular cell. So if you want to see which cell has that particular button, what you can do is you can simply print the row number and column number of that cell. Now if I call from here, it shows 5th row 7th column, 7th row 7th column, 8th row 7th column, like this. Now it means we can easily access the row number and column number of that cell. So this becomes very easy to now track the time for each task individually. So let's say on the click of start button, I'll be noting down the start timer here in this I column. So cells, row number is r.row, column number for I is 9 dot value equals, let's say now. So it prints it in this format. Let's change the format to this for all these cells. So now it gives it in the representation of total number of hours since 1911 till today. So these are the number of hours and then minutes and seconds. So we are not bothered about this particular number because we need only the difference between start and stop. So if we on the stop of particular task, we again note the now timer, we'll be just checking the difference of 2 to get the actual number of hours, minute or second taken for that particular task. So you can see that it is noting down the timer for every particular task. Now we need to add another function which is stop timer function. What it actually should do is it should be doing the same action. It should be identifying the cell, but here we should not simply evaluate. We should evaluate the difference between the times. So now we are not going to print that particular value in ninth column. Rather, we will be just printing that value here in F column. So F is 6. This value is equal to its previous value plus time taken in current slot, which is now minus actual value of that cell, and then clear it off. We'll be calling this function on click of stop button. Let's see what happens now. We need to delete the buttons again and draw them again. We have actions on stop as well as start. So start, timer starts, stop, calculates the difference and adds here. Start, stop, start, 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 stop, 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 and stop. This way we can easily evaluate the difference. The problem is, if a task is not started, it will give us wrong value because it will subtract it from 0. So we should add a check for that as well. The stop module, we should before calculating the difference, we should first of all check the value of cell 9, cell in 9th column. So if this is blank, in that case, if this is not blank, in that case do this, otherwise show a message box that task not started. Let's see what happens now. Start. If we try to stop something which is already stopped, it gives us warning. So a task which is never started cannot be stopped. Only the tasks which are started can be stopped. Now two minor things left here. One thing, we do not need to show this particular or these intermediate values to the user. So we won't be using an additional cell in the start module, start timer. We were actually printing that value in 9th column. Rather, we will be printing it in the same column so that the button covers that value and user won't be able to see that. So I'll be using it as 7th, something like this. And instead of using .value.clear, we can also use .clear. So if you now see, it is not showing anything, but the operation is being performed. Now to create the chart, we can select the source. We need to print time taken in the y-axis, and we can show the names on the x-axis of a plot. So insert 2D graph, where if we select the data, time taken is here, and here we can use the range, other values. So it displays the time taken of each user. If we start timer for someone and stop it, the time will be updated and the same will be reflected in the graph as well. So this is all about the start timer, stop timer tutorial. We have a lot of such examples which you can use and practice and apply in your day-to-day work. So if you want to apply for such type of training, you can always write to us at excel.mycookie@gmail.com, or you can also ask for any kind of help in your project. You can also ask us for any of your projects that you want to give to us, and we'll be happy to help you. Goodbye.